here on the lower Neuse River down at Blackbeard with my Com-Pac 16. Decided to bring it. I'm gonna be down here for 2 or 3, 4 days camp sailing. Weather's supposed to be very moderate, very mild the next few days, so I thought I'd come out down here and go out for a little bit. Getting ready to launch. Okay, I've got an anchor out. Got a nice little breeze here this afternoon. One thing I was going to show you that I made for my boat a long time ago, and I just moved it from boat to boat, is this screen for the lazarette lid back here. I've got a screen hatch that fits over that, and then I just bungee up that lazarette lid to the tiller there, and it makes like a little wind scoop, and it gives me nice good airflow through the boat. And of course I do have the the vent turned off on my fuel tank there, so I'm not getting any kind of fuel odors in, but that gives really nice airflow to the boat, especially when it's hot, because the wind is coming more or less from the bow. The wind's kind of coming from that direction there, and I've got a vent up at the front there, cowl vent, that catches the wind from the forward coming through, and then this lets it kind of funnel through here. And then I've got another screen laying in there that goes across here that I can use as well at night whenever I close the boat up. Even though it's might be in the 40s tonight, high 40s or whatever, which is a little cool. Inside of a little boat, you can get condensation, and it can get warm, so it's nice to have a little ventilation. But I'm just going to kind of chill this afternoon. Right before dark, I might throw a fishing rod out and see if I can catch fish. But pretty much I'm just going to chill, and then get up in the morning and see what the day holds. I've got a hatch board here. It's made out of HDPE, and I just put a teak cleat across the bottom of it to hold it up the right height. And needs a little cleaning, but that HDPE works pretty good for stuff like this. Just have to remember that it does expand a little bit whenever it gets hot, so you have to keep your measurements with that in mind. But I like using it. It's makes a nice hatch. These covers I've had for a good while. These are foam, cast foam cushions here for 16. I've got the one that goes back here at the back too, but I just doubled that up from a seat cushion here, since I've got my vent in back there now. They need cleaning. Seemed like I never had time to get around to doing a good cleaning on anything. But it's pretty nice out here. Pretty nice. Nice, quiet evening. Just a nice little breeze. Out there, and that way is where I'll be sailing tomorrow, most likely downriver. Got a little 4 horsepower Mercury 4-stroke. So basically a new motor. It's only got about 4 hours on it, just breaking in hours is all it's got on it. Thought I would bring that this trip just to have a chance to run that motor some. Like I say, it's just barely even gotten broken in, so it needs to be run a little bit. Got my mast crutch right here. I just leave on most of the time. And that little deal right there, I've got an anchor light down in here that I can mount right there for like tonight while I'm anchored out. That or run one up a halyard, up on the mast a bit. Warming up a can of clam chowder for dinner, or as we call it down here in the South, supper. Just take just a minute or two for that to get warm. Try to keep it pretty simple on the boat. Just something I can warm up in a pot, or either just make a sandwich or something. Just use my hatch board here as a little table. Yeah, the sun's fixing to go down. I got my fishing rod out here with a top water plug on it. I'll see if I can snag a fish. Wind has died. It's just about completely calm. The wind has changed direction just a little bit, but it's just about died out. Anyway, I keep hearing something hitting the top of the water, so I thought I'd try to catch a fish. But it is really, really wet out. I've already gone over this with a sponge once, but I'm gonna have to dry it out 2 or 3 times to try to get rid of some of this dampness. It's just soaking wet. I got my usual toast going here for breakfast. It's already close to 8 o'clock. But like I said, it's just so wet out. I'm just dragging my feet getting out this morning. It's kind of chilly too. Let that toast for a minute and get me a little something in my belly, and then I'll be ready to get out and get started. Almost no wind. Got my whisker pole out now. Got a wing and wing. But there's just about no wind. So just barely ghosting along here. Ghosting along. There's a little bit more wind out in the river a little bit further, but there's just not much wind today at all. It's just flat. Where I was anchored was way back there. And I'm just barely moving. I am moving. If you look at the water there, you can tell that I am moving, but there's just no wind. Still the same old thing. It's just almost no wind. Just barely enough to keep my sails open. Goose Creek right now, anchored out. There's just not any wind hardly at all today, so I didn't go far. I used my hatch board there to cover up my fuel tank that's sitting there in the sun. Pretty bright sunshine right now, just to keep the sun off of it and keep it from expanding so much. Well, the wind died completely, and sun's shining bright, so I have put my screen up across my hatch here because I'm anchored up in a creek here and the flies were starting to get bad. So I put the screen in here and shooed the flies out. So now I'm just sitting here reading a book. Sun going down behind the trees there. Sailing out the creek this morning. Just a little bit of breeze. Another boat that was anchored in here last night. I'm using a tiller clutch, tiller control here. Need to tighten my line up just a little bit, but I like it. I've got it set up so I can just take my finger and unlock it, and you just take my finger and click it back down to lock it real quick and easy. But I like it a lot. It's one of the, as far as I'm concerned, that's the nicest one that I've found anyway. And I know I've used at least 3 different brands, but that's the one I like the best. I think it's just called a tiller clutch. Tiller clutch. And my boat is packed full of stuff. I didn't know how long I was going to be out here, but I came prepared to stay for a few days, and so I've always bring more stuff than I need. So it keeps kind of changing angles just a bit. Trying to go upriver as much as I can right now because that's the direction I need to be going. While I've got a little bit of wind, I'm trying to get upwind a bit because I don't think there's supposed to be much wind again today. Ease off just a little bit. I'm trying to point a little bit too hard. There's a shoal in the river out here just off my port bow out here, a good ways out, but out in front of me to the port side there, and I'm trying to pinch around it so I don't have to go, downriver of it or downwind of it. I should make it without any trouble unless the wind totally dies. think I could probably go across that shoal anyway. I don't draw that much depth. Sometimes there'll be crab pots out there. I don't see any crab pots out today, but that's a good place to get hung up in crab pots. I like these cushions as far as sitting on them. They're very comfortable. They're fairly dense, and they're very comfortable to sit on. But the condensation on them overnight is terrible, and also they get wet underneath from condensation. So in the mornings, it's a lot to have to, mop up, dry up. But once they're back dry, they're very comfortable to sit on. And they would act, I guess, as a flotation device as well in an absolute emergency. It's a closed cell phone. I'm not sure who made them. I've had them forever. Again, it's just something that I kind of move around from boat to boat. Just finally picked up that little bit of a wind shift and got a little more wind, but like I said, I don't know who made them, but they're cast to shape. It's like a like a poured foam or cast foam. It's got a skin over them that's part of the foam. Windshield. I probably ought to use that to my advantage. Well, that was a terrible attack. This green line right here, I don't know why it's on this boat. It's terrible line. It's like some kind of cheap mess, and it's just snags on absolutely everything. And when I get home, one of the first things I'm gonna do is I'm gonna throw this in the garbage and put some decent line on here for these jib sheets. This is absolutely terrible. I've never had line that snagged on everything as bad as this does. Probably something cheap from Lowe's or something. Knots. I'm gonna probably do another series of tacks to get upwind a bit more, so I don't end up coming in all this shallow water up here and end up being on a lee shore, so to speak, and not have enough wind to get off of it. If the wind didn't change at all going into this creek, I could stay on this tack and get all the way where I'm trying to get. But I have a feeling it's going to shift. So I'm going to try to go ahead and make a little bit of upwind and where I've got a little bit more maneuverability. There's a red channel marker up here off my starboard bow, way out there, and I'm trying to stay upwind of that, coming into this channel here, into this creek. Remember, the current is going that direction to the right, so the current downriver is trying to take me, you know, to the right of that red marker, and I'm trying to stay to the left of it. So as long as the wind stays like it is now, I'll be fine. But if the wind dies or shifts, then I'll have to tack again. Just enough wind to hold my sails open. There's just almost no wind. I'm having to kind of be on the downwind side of the boat here, just trying to keep my sails open. I've got a little peninsula of land coming out here into the river that's blocking the wind right now. I've got just a little tiny bit. I'm only going about 1.5 knots, maybe 2 knots right now of boat speed. Not much. When you've got, you know, 10 or 12, 15 knots of wind, you know, or more, it's pretty easy to sail because it's kind of pretty obvious, you know, what to do, and your sails pretty much tell you what's going on. But when you're sailing in really light wind, especially light thickly wind, it's I guess that's kind of like, that's when you actually kind of learn to sail and get better, because everything is such a what's the right word? Everything is so subtle, I guess. You know, it's not real obvious. And having a way to determine your boat speed at extremely low speeds is helpful, because it kind of lets you know when you're doing something better or worse, you know, if you can monitor your boat speed. But when you're getting down to under 2 knots of boat speed, it's sometimes the GPS doesn't really like to read that low, at least not consistently. So, but anyway, that is a good way to learn to sail better, is to sail in light wind, and also sail with another boat where you're chasing each other or that kind of thing, to try to learn, you know, what if you've got 2 identical boats in light wind and you're out there, you know, chasing each other, you can kind of see the little subtle differences that make a little bit of difference in your boat speed, and you can both learn from it. I'm honestly not a particularly good sailor, but I do enjoy it. I'm just barely moving. I just have almost no wind, just the tiniest bit of wind. Well, it's been fun, but I need to get back home. So heading back into the marina here where my truck's at. This is Blackbeard Sailing Club in Bridgeton, North Carolina. Great place.